a bit of urgency in the matter, it seems.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my wife seems to think I'm going to be arrested. She's rather cleverer than I am, so she may be right.
Arrested? For what?
Well, for murder.
Oh.
It's the case of Miss Emily French. You've probably seen the reports in the press.
Yes.
She was a maiden lady, living alone but for an elderly housekeeper, in a house at Hampstead. On the night of October the 14th, the housekeeper returned at 11 o'clock. The divided place had apparently been broken into. That the mistress had been crushed on the back of the head and killed. That is right?
Yes, that's right. It's an ordinary sort of thing to happen nowadays. And then I read in the paper that the police were anxious to question a Mr. Leonard Vole, who had visited Miss French earlier on the night in question, as they believed he may be able to give them useful information. So I went right down to the police station, and they asked me a lot of questions.
Wait, did they caution you?
I don't quite know. They said, would I like to make a statement, and they would write it all down, and it may be used in court. Is that cautioning me?
Well, it can't be helped now.
Well, it seemed damn silly to me. I told them all I could. They were very nice about it, quite polite, seemed satisfied and all that. And then when I got home, Romaine, that's my wife, she rather got the wind up. She seemed to think they got hold of the idea that I might have done it. So I thought I ought to go and get hold of a solicitor, and that's when I came round to you. I thought perhaps you ought to tell me what I ought to do about it.
You knew Miss French well?
Yes, she was frightfully kind to me. Actually, it was a bit of a bore sometimes. She positively fussed over me, but she meant it very well, and when I saw in the paper that she'd been killed, I was awfully upset, because I really got rather fond of her.
But tell Sir Wilfrid, just as you told me, how it was that you came to meet Miss French's acquaintance.
Well, it was one day in Oxford Street. I saw an old lady crossing the street carrying a lot of parcels, and when she got to the middle of the road, she dropped the parcels, tried to recover them again, and discovered a bus was nearly on top of her. She barely made it to the curb safely. Well, I helped her recover the parcels, wiped the mud from them as best I could, tied up one that had come apart with string, and generally soothed the old dear down. You know the sort of thing.
And she was grateful.
Yes, very grateful. Thanked me a lot and all that. One would have thought I saved her life instead of her parcels.
No, there wasn't any question of you having saved it.
No, nothing heroic. Matter of fact, I never expected to see her again.
But drink?
No, thank you, sir. I never do. Well, by the most extraordinary coincidence, 2 days later, I found myself sitting behind her at the theatre. She turned round, saw me, we began to talk, and she asked me to come and see her.
And you went?
Yes. She urged me to name a day specially, and I thought it rather churlish to refuse. I told her I would go and see her the following Saturday.
And so you went to her house in
Hampstead.
Hampstead, thank you, John. What did you know about her before you went to the house?
Only what she told me, that she lived alone, that she hadn't very many friends, that sort of thing.
She lived with only a housekeeper.
Yes, that's right. She had 8 cats, though. 8 of them. The house was beautifully furnished, but it smelt a bit of cat.
Do you have any reason to believe she was well off?
Well, she talked as though she was.
And you yourself?
I'm practically stony broke. Have been for a long time.
It's unfortunate.
Yes, it is rather. You think people will say that I was only sucking up to her for her money?
No, I don't think I would put it quite that way, Mr. Vole, but in essence, yes, that is possibly what people might say.
Well, it's not really true, you know. As a matter of fact, I felt sorry for her. I thought she might be lonely. I was brought up by an old aunt, my Aunt Betsy, and I like old ladies.
You say old ladies. Do you know what age Miss French was?
Well, I didn't at the time, but I read in the paper after she was murdered. She was 56.
56. You consider that old, Mr. Vole? I should think that Miss Emily French did not consider herself old.
But you can't call it a chicken, can you?
So, let us move on.